we made a journey to Pai, which is a small town to the northwest of Chiang Mai, about 135 kilometers away. I have to confess I'd never heard of it, but in recent years it's become quite a hippie destination and has got that laid-back, anything goes kind of feeling to it. So it remains a big draw for backpackers. Getting there is a hair-raising drive through the mountains with something like 700 hairpin bends, I'm told. So it's a big draw for motorcyclists. Going up mountains, round mountains, down into valleys, back up again. It's an incredibly beautiful journey. As you draw closer to Pai, well, we stopped at a fascinating old bridge, the Bai Memorial Bridge. It was built by the Japanese as part of a supply route to Burma during the Second World War. When they began their retreat, when they were losing the war, they destroyed the bridge to try to prevent any armies following them. The local people were quite annoyed because they'd got quite used to the bridge. It was a useful way of crossing the Pai River, and it had become an integral part of their life. So they had it rebuilt, and then many years later a new bridge was built alongside it, but the old one remained as a memorial to World War II. Pai is a little town nestling in a bend in the River Pai, and it's quite charming at first sight. There are narrow walking streets and market stalls that give it a very laid-back, relaxed feel, despite there being quite a lot of tourists there. After a night's rest, we set out for the first of the attractions we intended to visit, Paicanyon. It's sometimes referred to by locals who are keen to sell its tourist appeal as Thailand's Grand Canyon. It's rather smaller than the Grand Canyon. Even so, it's still impressively big, and walking around the top is both spectacular and challenging, to say the least. Some of the walkways are hair-raisingly narrow paths taking you across some sheer drops. While I was there, I had a pleasant chat to a monk, which was interesting and fun. Dio took the challenge of walking out on some of the rocky outcrops. That provides a great opportunity for photographs, unless you step back too far and then you're over the edge. It has happened apparently, but it didn't happen when we were there. So it's a hiker's paradise, and the scenery is beautiful, with green mountains and valleys in the distance, and rugged and stark and rocky at the top where the walks begin and where we were. Just 5 kilometers from Pai itself, we stopped off at Santichon village. An ethnic minority Chinese Yunnan group settled here after they'd escaped from the Cultural Revolution in China, and they created their own village. But alongside of it, they've created a kind of culture village, which consists of a small lake, an ornamental Chinese bridge, numerous charming little craft shops, and as well as that, there's a kind of a small fairground with some lovely old-fashioned little rides there, only about 3 or 4, but they are in themselves a historical detail that's really interesting to see. So Santichon is a tourist attraction undoubtedly, but it's a very charming and beautiful one, and it's definitely a place to relax before you head into Pai. We drove on to a place known as the Landsplit, and it's called the Landsplit for very obvious reasons. This split appeared on a farm somewhat mysteriously. Some people say it was landslide or some kind of fault that sank into the ground. Others said that it was an earthquake. Anyway, it caused a really dramatic split in the ground, rendering the farm unusable in that area. But the enterprising farmer turned it into a tourist attraction, and it really is quite a dramatic place to behold and well worth visiting as you wander through this crack in the earth. We moved on from there to our final destination, which was Thumbok waterfall, which was really quite busy, lots of people swimming in a little pool, and just a very peaceful place to sit, watch the water, see the waterfall before we set off back to Chiang Mai.